Hey folks, how's it going? This is Iron Seagull here, and today I'm talking about why we're never getting open worlds in The Sims 4. This is not new information, but I wanted to do a recap because it's been officially confirmed multiple times that open worlds are never coming, yet whether they are coming or not is still a frequently asked question whenever a new update is even hinted at. Plus, I have talked about no open world in the past, but it's been lumped in with other tweets from the Sim Gurus, making the information a little harder to find. And with Sim Guru Frost recently making a tweet that says literally nothing but redacted, I figured there was no better time than the present to make a video solely dedicated to this topic. So now I'm going to bring up some previous tweets from SimGuru Grant, who used to be a producer on The Sims 4. He's still working at Maxis now, but it's a mystery as to what he's actually working on. There's been a lot of speculation that it could be The Sims 5, but that is besides the point. Let's get right into this. So when he was asked what about adding cars in with University, or even changing it back to the open world format like in Sims 3. Yeah, keep in mind the date here because this is from June 29, 2018, long before Discover University was a thing. So Grant replies saying open world isn't really a possibility at this point, but cars and University are certainly possibilities. He also ended up saying that open world is not really compatible with their code architecture. So it seems like, okay, not a quite 100% deconfirmation of open world, but that changed later on. Fast forward to October 4th, 2018, when someone else asked Grant what about open world in The Sims 4, he said, "I've said multiple times, this will not happen in The Sims 4. On the same day, he also confirmed that open neighborhood/districts are not happening either. Then we jump to January 3rd, 2019, where someone else asked, any chance open worlds or open neighborhoods could be a performance setting? Sorry if you can't answer this. And SimGuru Grant says, open worlds for TS4 are one of the few things we simply cannot do. It is an engine architectural level change that cannot occur at this point. So that's the most definitive answer that I could find, and an explanation as for why. I could have sworn there were more tweets where he talked about this stuff, but unfortunately I could not find them, so that's why in one of the tweets he just suddenly jumped to him saying that he said multiple times that open world is not happening. So even though, yeah, there is the factor that with the closed worlds it is easier to run the game on more computers, it's also just simply not possible for them to go back and rewrite the game to be open worlds, and it does make sense to me. I think they might as well just make it in The Sims 5 instead, because yeah, hopefully that is what SimGuru Grant is working on at the moment, and given just how much outcry there was against the closed world even before The Sims 4 came out, I think it would be an incredibly unwise decision to not include any sort of open world in The Sims 5 either. I hope at the very least they could do open districts, or maybe they could do something that I have talked about more in depth in the past, where they could do things like loading tunnels like they did in Tony Hawk's American Wasteland, where it is technically an open world, but then you do have these slower paced areas that you go through while the game is loading the next areas. So even though it's not the best thing ever, it's still better than grinding the game to a complete halt with your conventional video game loading screen, where it just stops and then you just have to wait until the area loads. Nope, you can still keep playing and then you can just go into the next area. This way, there would be a compromise so that there is a little bit of something to help performance so that more computers could run the game, but it would still feel more open world than what The Sims 4 is. It is worth mentioning that in Jungle Adventure, they got somewhat close to open districts, because the jungle area has far less loading screens than what a typical district has in The Sims 4. There are a few buildable lots that you still need to go through loading screens in order to visit, but once you get to the jungle itself, then the only loading screens after that are in two of the areas that are farthest into the jungle, the natural pool and the temple. There was also the drawback that certain areas were completely inaccessible unless you end your vacation, go back home, and then go back to the jungle. But this meant a different set of areas could be blocked off, so there's never a time where you can visit the whole jungle in one trip. So unfortunately, I don't think this is a format that they can just apply to normal worlds in The Sims 4, because then that would mean you could just not play as certain households unless you either reloaded the world or maybe even the entire game, and that would be extremely inconvenient. But yep, open worlds are not happening for The Sims 4, not now and not in the future. So it is quite unusual that the Sim Gurus would outright say that this is never happening, because usually we would get the answer of saying, oh, we cannot comment on potential future content. And yeah, this is an exception, and I'm glad, even though the answer is no, I'm glad that they're not letting us being strung along with the possible chance of, oh, maybe it could happen. Just nope. Open world is not happening for The Sims 4. The lack of open worlds in The Sims 4 has definitely divided this community. There are some who are okay with the lack of open worlds, and there are some who absolutely hate it. So hopefully with Sims 5, they could do something where it does satisfy people who want to run the game on lore and computers, but also does have more openness to the gameplay. And I think The Sims 5 would probably be out by 2022 or 2023 at the earliest, so I think by then they could definitely do something better than what they have done with The Sims 4, because by the time The Sims 5 would come out, computers will be better than they are now, so even low-spec computers will be better than low-spec computers in 2019. But that's it for this video, so if you enjoyed it, be sure to subscribe so you can keep up with my latest content from The Sims, Sonic the Hedgehog, and more. So I will talk to you all later, and have a great day. Thanks for watching!